We are now in Lecture 3, Part 1. Here we're going to discuss the moral importance of there being a paid volunteer army, as well as one's being drafted into army, but selling one's draft to someone else, for someone else to take one's place in the army, according to this draft. We're also going to look to the objection to the we're also going to look at the objection to the above, the freedom objection to the above, a new one that we're introducing here, challenge to freedom by coercion by circumstances. And we're going to theorize new understanding of freedom more fully, or at least introduce it. According to the libertarian moral theory, there is nothing morally wrong with offering money to someone else to serve instead of oneself in the case of being drafted into the army, say in the case of a military emergency. It is a voluntary exchange on the market between two consenting adults choosing to enter into this exchange. If this exchange was banned, then one would be coerced into doing something that one does not choose to do, serve in the army. And it would be an equivalent of slavery, insofar as one is forced to do something one does not choose to do. That is the libertarian point. We may even throw in a utilitarian defense. The sum total of happiness in the country would also go up if those who did not want to serve in the army could pay those who want to be paid for serving in the army. Similar sort of a thing can be said about a volunteer army, where someone gets paid to be in the army. And quite a few people simply choose not to go into the army. Here is the first objection to the sale of army draft responsibilities and to the voluntary army. Let us call it the freedom objection. If persons in a society have very few options or alternatives, it is hard to speak of their choice as voluntary. If persons are poor and have very few opportunities for income other than go into the army, it is hard to speak of their choice as voluntary. If there are substantial inequalities in society, such that few alternatives in education, employment, etc., are available to segments of population, it is hard to speak of those persons' choices as voluntary. Sandel calls this freedom and fairness objection, but we're going to call it freedom objection in general. There are two types of compulsion on freedom, argues Sandel. One, the force of law or of some person or persons over oneself. Two, the pressure of economic necessity. The poor persons under economic pressure to choose dangerous and liberty-limiting but well-paid and accessible entry into the army. Libertarianism recognizes the undermining of freedom by some coercive actions, but not by circumstances. If we do acknowledge coercion by circumstances, then, in order to know whether a choice is free, we need to know the chooser's circumstances, options, and alternatives that they may have, and not only the laws and what others are doing with regard to compelling the person. A new interpretation of freedom is being suggested here. On the libertarian interpretation, one is free if one's choices are not obstructed or coerced by others, whether directly or through law. On the new interpretation, one is free if, in addition to not being coerced by others, one has substantial options and alternatives. A voluntary choice, Sandel tells us, reflects one's preferences and not only one's severely limited alternatives.